We have reached the last module of this course. In Module 5, you will learn about your cybersecurity action plan. By the end of this module, you will be able to discuss how to spread cybersecurity awareness, list the tips for gaining executive leadership support, and list the ICS solutions for the foundational controls. Understanding the frameworks and foundational controls that must be applied to your ICS in order to keep it secure is one thing, but obtaining organizational buy-in to implement these controls is an entirely different challenge. 68% of ICS professionals believe that a breach would be required to convince their leadership to make the necessary investments. Take a proactive approach and have the appropriate conversations with the right stakeholders. It can prevent you from launching a cyber attack to convince upper management to invest in security. Let us now look at the tips on how to gain the support of executive leadership. Create a security program timeline. Developing a timeline to share with key stakeholders is one way to initiate the process of enhancing your industrial cybersecurity posture. Get an ICS cybersecurity assessment. When presenting leadership with the logistics of time and costs associated with investing in security, an ICS security assessment is a good first step. Use a trusted third party to conduct a cybersecurity assessment, which you can then present to your CISO to illustrate the current risk profile that the current state poses to safety, productivity, and quality. As part of the assessment, it is also beneficial to outline risk with a threat analysis that considers both the likelihood and the potential impact of a cybersecurity event on the business. Proactively foster IT or OT collaboration. Creating cross-functional teams with representation from both the IT and OT sides of your organization in order to promote internal organizational collaboration. Define the roles and scope of security initiatives explicitly and recognize that IT and OT professionals frequently have different perspectives on security. Communication skills must be honed, and internal workshops are a great way to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Adopt a framework to use as a guideline. An industrial framework such as IEC 62443 is a useful tool for demonstrating to your organization's leadership the industry consensus regarding the significance of ICS security controls. Since it provides recommendations on network architecture, configuration, and monitoring, it is a useful tool for aligning your organization's key stakeholders on security priorities. Once you are familiar with how to use foundational controls to secure your ICS, it is time to choose the appropriate tools for the job. Some solutions address multiple foundational controls simultaneously. Some will be designed specifically for industrial environments, while others will bridge the IT/OT divide with ease. Here are the basic capabilities you should consider when evaluating each of the 5 foundational controls covered in Module 4. Let us look at each, to learn more about the basic capabilities of foundational control you should seek in an ICS environment. Hardware and software inventories. Consider a solution that passively generates a real-time map of your entire ICS network, including a list of all connected devices. In ICS environments, it's crucial to be able to gather this information without interrupting operations. Therefore, choose a solution that can not only harvest data passively but also actively communicate via native industrial protocols, e.g. Modbus TCP, Profinet, Ethernet or IP, etc., for asset discovery and inventory. Change control. The foundation of effective change control is file integrity monitoring, FIM, as well as secure configuration management, SCM. These capabilities capture a comprehensive picture of the state of your systems and monitor any deviations from a known, secure baseline. These fundamental procedures are your best defense against network intruders. SCM is also invaluable for monitoring policy and framework compliance drift. Centralized log management. Consider using a log management tool that pre-processes log data before passing it through your SIEM, security information and event management. In addition to assisting with asset inventory, log management tools can passively discover devices as they connect to your ICS environment. Your centralized log repository must enable you to comprehend the information that devices generate so that you can optimize their performance and maintain the control system's functionality. Consider a log management tool to be the cyber historian of your ICS.
Vulnerability management. Selecting the appropriate VM tool for an industrial environment requires extra care. In most cases, you'll want a tool that performs vulnerability scans using both agentless and agent-based techniques. This is especially useful when your environment contains endpoints with intermittent connectivity. In addition, remember that risk scores must be prioritized in a manner that enables you to comprehend how to remediate the greatest risks first. If you receive a flood of high-severity vulnerability alerts without prioritization guidance, your virtual machine (VM) tool is insufficiently sophisticated. Network zones and segmentation. The primary recommendation of ISA 99 or IEC 62443 is to establish distinct zones and conduits. For instance, you should use an industrial protocol-aware firewall to facilitate communication between zones. Zones are the organization of specific devices that perform process functions to reduce the impact of cyber events on an industrial. Consider the following 3 activities when selecting investments for your cybersecurity program: visibility, protective controls, and continuous monitoring. Let us look at each one briefly. Protective controls. Once you gain the visibility of your industrial network, the next step is to apply protective controls to appropriate levels of the Purdue model. However, the essential protective controls are network segmentation and device hardening. Visibility. A complete inventory of your network's hardware and software assets will allow you to identify precisely what is on your network. Know with whom these devices are communicating, whether their configurations are changing, which vulnerabilities are applicable, and what their logs are revealing. Visibility begins with a comprehensive asset inventory, but also includes numerous other lenses for understanding the risk posture of an industrial network. Continuous monitoring. Once you know what you have, it must be monitored. This is accomplished through a series of concurrent processes, including vulnerability management, security configuration management, log management, and file integrity monitoring. Let us now look at some frequently asked questions. In the past, an adversary would have to socially engineer their way onto the plant floor in order to physically manipulate the control system's instruments. Alternatively, they could place a malware-infected USB drive in the parking lot and hope that someone's curiosity gets the best of them. In the era of IIoT, however, unprotected connected devices pose a threat. Controlling remote access is an essential component of ICS security. Understand and document all remote access connections to the industrial control network, such as vendor access via dial-up modems, VPN, and cellular connectivity. Using secure authentication solutions, industrial organizations can set up multi-factor authentication for remote users and log all of their activity. Understanding and maintaining an accurate asset inventory of all the components of your industrial network is an excellent starting point. How does one safeguard something they are unaware they possess? Do not, however, stop at asset inventory visibility. Gain visibility into other critical factors such as configuration changes, device communication pattern baselines, network topology changes, and diagnostic log data, as these will all aid in your ability to detect and quickly correct anything that negatively impacts your industrial process. Yes. Phishing is a common method for gaining access to the corporate IT network or a control engineer's laptop via email, telephone, or text message, which is then used to pivot into the industrial network. A crucial component of a defense in-depth strategy is educating and preparing employees to recognize phishing techniques. While not required, these frameworks can assist you in developing and sustaining a cybersecurity program to mitigate the risk posed by cyber events. In addition, it is essential to recognize that adhering to such a framework will require time and investments in people and technology, none of which will occur overnight. Utilize these frameworks as a guide and devise a plan for their implementation over time. Unquestionably, in certain industrial applications, the cloud has already arrived. Concern is still warranted, however, and the adoption of cloud-based solutions in industrial networks is inevitable. And they will continue to use and adopt an increasing number of IT-related technologies and solutions at an accelerated rate. SCADA solutions and some monitoring solutions from leading automation suppliers have already migrated to the cloud. Cost efficiencies will continue to drive adoption.
Don't assume cloud solutions are secure, and don't forget to apply the same foundational controls to the cloud as you would to any other technology landscape in your environment.
Here is a quick recap of what we covered.
The following are some suggestions for acquiring an executive leadership program: create a security program timeline, get an ICS cybersecurity assessment, proactively foster IT or OT collaboration, adopt a framework to use a guideline. When purchasing hardware and software, seek out a solution that passively generates a real-time map of your entire ICS network, including a list of all connected devices. For change control, employ tools with the capacity to capture a comprehensive picture of the current state of your systems and to monitor any deviations from a secure baseline. Search for a log management tool that pre-processes log data prior to filtering it via your SIEM, security information and event management. ISA 99 or IEC 62443 recommends creating distinct zones and conduits. Keep these three activities in mind to stay out of the weeds as you select investments to build and optimize your cybersecurity program: visibility, protective controls, and continuous monitoring. Visibility begins with an understanding of the network's risk posture. Two mandatory protective controls are network segmentation and device hardening. Across multiple parallel processes, monitoring includes vulnerability management, security configuration management, log management, and file integrity monitoring.